Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. This video was brought to you by me. Okay, the inspiration was from another YouTuber and I'd like to read you his comment. This was on a video on the review actually of this particular display, which is a 165 Hertz LG 32-inch monitor. 2K, woohoo! Anyway, so right now we're going to show you it on the Mac kind of video at a distance. You know, you get the idea. Anyway, so you know what? Let me kind of zoom in on this and see if we can show you a little bit more detail of what's really happening here. Hopefully this works out. Anyway, so we're going to watch a little bit here. It really doesn't. You know, I still have, you know, tilt control. I've got a fair amount of tilt. The other one would also swivel back and forth, like side to side. This one doesn't. So, is that pretty good for you guys? All right. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. So, his comment goes like this. At 1080p streaming, your video and your sideways shot. I'm going to, you know, emphasize the comments. You can read it yourself because the link for this video here we're about to read from, it's in the description. So you can read it yourself for his actual words. But it says at 1080p, or at 1080 streaming, your video and your sideways, should say sideways, it says sideway, shot picture looks washed out of focus. Probably direct facings, or direct facing the angle would be better, is what he should have said, but he says properly direct facings angle are better. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so I wrote to him and I said, well, time for a new video to explain in detail what you are seeing and why. Now in the meantime, search my playlist for Far Cry. All these videos in that folder were screen recordings. So let's see how you do with those. In the meantime, I'll prepare a video to explain how lighting and cameras and monitors work on PC and Mac. Okay? Now, you can go and you can read that yourself, word for word, everything. So let's get out of here. Now, we are going to reshoot that same similar footage on my PC once again, except this time we're going to use the DSLR at 1080p, which we're recording on right now. So the camera that I was using and have been using for many years now is this. Now, it does have autofocus, but I don't see a focusing issue, okay? Yes, there's washed out colors. It's a freaking PC. What do you want? PCs are more washed out in their color palettes and presentation than a Mac. A Mac has that high quality, rich, beautiful, perfect pixelation, perfect color palettes, glossy displays generally are on Macs. You will not see a matte finish display on a Mac unless it's on a Mac Mini like mine, because I can't afford the glossy display from Apple. Because I'm not that filthy rich. In fact, I'm not even friggin' middle class in my lifestyle. I'm like below poverty. So, I afford what I can. And even this same display, which I have two of them, this one on my Mac and the other one is the exact same precise display that we did the video with. Okay? Now, the Mac still makes these displays look far better. Okay? I mean, it's the Mac OS. It's the way Macintosh operating system presents itself to the user in such a way that it is very appealing even with a matte display. Now, these matte displays also, whether you change the angle or you're sitting across on an angle like this, nothing changes, okay? There are displays on the market, being a regular display or even laptops, as you'll know, where if you change the angle the right way, it screws up the picture, so you need a better viewing picture. You got to really mess around with the angle on the laptop screen to get that picture to actually show properly. It's part of hiding stuff from other people so that they can't look over your shoulder and see what you're doing, is part of that. It's part of like a privacy thing, but another part of it is that's just how they did that display, and suck it up, Buttercup. And that happens on PCs all the time. I haven't come across a Mac that does that yet, but I guess there's still potential. I haven't owned every single Mac yet, after all. Okay, just a vast majority of them. And I've worked on too many to count over the last 30-odd years. Okay, and I've also had a lot of displays on computers over the years, too, where, yes, I have seen issues like that happen where if you change the angle the wrong way, it is going to wash it out, which is natural, but it also loses a lot of the picture too. But on these particular displays from LG, okay, and the video link, by the way, will be in the description below so that you can actually check out the review on this display. Then you decide for yourself if you want a really nice display or not. But even sitting at the angle, I don't see a coloration problem. I don't see a fade issue. I don't see anything changing. These displays just don't seem to do that unless I'm not far enough of an angle for it to actually be visible. So, but when it comes to camera gear, guys and girls, cameras are extremely light dependent. Now, I did have my studio lights in here at the time, strategically set up to give me as much ample lighting as possible without having the stupid things directly at the lens. I'm trying to shoot a video, okay? I need a brighter atmosphere, but I don't want to blind the lens either with direct light at it, because it wouldn't go well, right? Now, whether I go autofocus or manual focus with this camera doesn't matter. The picture is only going to get so good. Now, this is a 9.2 megapixel camera, and it has an extremely super high rich 1080p mode to it, which puts it into 60 interlaced, not 60 progressive, okay? And so you can't shoot the progressive resolution, or 60 frame per second, on the ultra setting. Now, I wasn't on ultra setting on this thing, okay? I was one below, which still gives a very amazing quality picture if the lighting conditions are right. Camcorders are great for outdoor events because they'll look really, really nice. And I've shot tons of videos on my channel, thousands of videos with this thing, outdoors, indoors, different lighting situations. And so, I mean, you could go through almost 4,000 of my videos that I have, because I have almost 4,000. And you'll see over the years how things progress to a certain point. At one point, I actually deleted my own channel over 10 years ago to redo it all with better quality camera gear. Because back when I first started as a YouTuber, I was like, what, 380 or 460p at best. And then I got 720p and I was like, oh, you know, and it's like, that's so much better. And then we moved into 1080p JVC camera, you know, for a long time. And that thing actually sucked really bad, to be honest. It had focus issues. It would just randomly do crap on its own. This thing, at least when it sets up, it's there and it's kind of stable, so you know, no problems. But I do have a manual focus mode, but it wouldn't help this video out any, no matter what I do with this thing, unless I did the video outdoors, in which case you wouldn't even see the picture in the bright sunlight. So we got to do what we can do, right? Anyways, but this is still a very excellent camera, and I still highly recommend it, especially if you're a beginner YouTuber too, and you can't afford a DSLR. You know, I mean, hey, I couldn't afford one either until the last little bit, and so hey, I've already spent over $3,000 plus into my DSLR with all my extra gear and everything for it, including an OLED light, which is turned on now, brightening our scene even that much more. Anyways, so let's turn off my OLED and see what happens. Okay, now we still get a really nice picture, at least that's what I see in the screen. But we could be seeing maybe little bits of grain here and there, which is quite possible because we don't have a super lit up room. I don't have thousands of dollars in special lighting in here, okay? I mean, seriously, I don't have that kind of money. If any company wants to donate that stuff, I'll be happy to rearrange my room and set it up, no problem. But in the meantime, we do. And this OLED light works really well in the camera. I'm really impressed. And I'm only running it at about 32% right now of its maximum brightness. So it can get like the sun in here. It's nuts. So what I want to do right now is I want to bring us back to that video footage, but in a whole new light of using the DSLR to record it with. So I'm going to shut off the camera, set it up properly, and then we're going to scoop over to that game, play a little bit of it on the exact same display, getting as similar as I can to the same kind of angle, and let's see what happens, okay? Okay guys, so we're back to the setup with Far Cry on the PC. So now we're going to do this with the DSLR camera, of course, and hopefully I've got it focused in right. I like to zoom in all the way, and then in this case I focused on my little puppy dog here so that he looks absolutely perfect in the display, at least on the camera. And then when I zoom back out, everything should be fine, is the theory anyways. So let's go into, starting here, I want some volume. Both of them are dead.
What is going on here?
What are you guys? Look, whatever's happening there, it can't be as bad as what's happening here.
Whatever that was, I hope it was the only one.
Where are you? I'm having a hard time tracking your signal.
How the hell should I know? I'm in some kind of cave.
Right. The seawater pumping station.
Damn it, we lost the lights. That's all I need.
That's what you have a
Just
flashlight
look for the elevator. That should get you to the research facility.
Sure. You're mine now! You see something?
Love 2K.
You're mine now! I'm gonna tear you up! Take that! Holy!
Alright, hopefully that's enough for you guys. So, let me reset things here a little bit. Now, I know I'm going to get slightly blurred out on this one, so let's move the camera back. And we'll kill the game on this thing. So anyway, so this is the DSLR at 1080p. Now what I want to do is recheck my focus. I think that's pretty good. Okay, now in order to get me in the picture better too, I have to get back away from the camera, obviously. So anyway, that's as close as angle as I can get to what I had originally. And we are working with a DSLR camera this time too, which even the way things are zoomed in at no zoom on a DSLR camera is much closer in appearance than what our trusty little camcorder here does. Now of course my DSLR camera runs a full 24 megapixel at 4K. You're going to get less, of course, when you're dropping resolution down to 1080. Now, there's a lot of factors that involve what a person sees on screen when they're watching, in this case, YouTube videos. Their quality of screen makes a difference. The refresh rate on their screen makes a difference. You know, the kind of panel that they have. Do they have a matte panel? Do they have a gloss panel? Are they running an IPS matte screened panel? And at what hertz, right? That all makes a difference of your actual screen on your computer. So, you know, your computer may not be at fault for the piss poor quality picture. It could just very well be that you've got a poor quality monitor too. So get a higher quality, even 1080p monitor, you're going to do a lot better too, right? So, but the Mac OS and the Windows OS, Mac OS graphically enhances things in a very superior way as opposed to Windows. Now, Windows 11 actually does quite a nice enhancement graphically, even to gameplay. You know, even at the same resolution, same monitor, I found that Windows 11 enhances Far Cry even that much more, or any other game I play. And I play like Cyberpunk 2077 on my PC, I've got Far Cry, I've got Unreal Tournament, I've got Far Cry 2 on there now, once again, and a few other games. And with Windows 11, it really enhances stuff. Now, I'm not running Windows 11, I'm running Windows 10 again. I've dropped back down to Windows 10. I actually have a video on that, why I went back down to Windows 10. But, you know, when it comes to what a person can visually see of your video, even though your video may be in 1080p, well, this 1080p is not quite as nice because I'm also not getting the full 9.2 megapixels when I cut that video. I'm getting a little bit less out of it because I am at a lower version of 1080p, right? I'm not at the top that the camera can do. And even if I am at the top the camera can do, it wouldn't have really made that much of a difference. It would have been very little, if any at all. Okay? It's a slight enhancement to go to the top level of my Sony Handycam. Okay? But a DSLR camera, when you do stuff with them, they do some amazing work with the picture quality in comparison to a camcorder, because we have different lenses. You know, like I have a 135 millimeter lens for this thing with a complete kit of extra lenses to get me, you know, 10 times that, you know, or 4 times that, or 1 times or 2 times kind of thing. You know, I have wide angle lenses, I've got telephoto lenses for my camera. This, you're stuck with what you've got. There is nothing you can do about the optics, and the optics on these things depends on how much money you spend on them too. Like Sony does have a 4K camcorder that is mentally priced, and I would never give them $2,000 plus for it. You know, I mean, we're talking Canadian dollars too, for a freaking camcorder. There's no point to it. A DSLR at 4K does 10 times a better job for actually even less money, because even my DSLR is a Canon T8i, and it's an entry-level DSLR, and it does have the mirror in it. But there are even higher level mirrored DSLRs out there. And then of course you have your mirrorless stuff, and you know, mirrorless has some advantages over a mirrored one for sure, but the mirrored ones still have far more advantages over the mirrorless ones, especially when it comes to lens selection, you know. And we have optic quality advantages too over the mirrorless ones, because we can get much better quality optic lenses for our mirrored DSLRs, at least at present, till the mirrorless stuff catches up, right? You know, it's kind of like everything else, right? It's kind of like, you know, Intel Macs versus M1s. I mean, the M1s are far faster, far superior in every single way, for the most part, right? But there are some things that M1s lack, like the ability to run Windows under boot camp, for example, so we could run Windows for real. So now we're stuck with M1 chips. We're not allowed to run boot camp, according to Microsoft and Qualcomm, because it's not allowed on those chips, at this present time anyways. So we're stuck running Parallels or some other solution. And there are other solutions that are far surpassing Parallels. I actually run Wineskin on mine. And so I just wine wrap, you know, whatever PC program I want. And if it works fine, it works fine. If it doesn't work fine, well, we just keep that game on the PC. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So there are solutions for getting Windows programs to run on the M1s, right? Some are just better solutions than others, right? And besides, who wants to run a preview version of freaking Windows 11 anyways? It's like pointless. And that's what we're currently stuck with Parallels. So you got to get part of the Insider program and download, and it's like, get out of here. Anyways, so, but your screen quality makes a difference on how your color palette is presented. Now, we have 2 identical screens in this room, one on a Mac, one on a PC, same resolution on both. Now, what's different is that I can only get 144 Hertz at 2K out of my Mac Mini with this screen. My PC I'm getting 165 hertz, which is what the screens are both rated for, but I'm getting my 165 out of it. So I've got a little bit better video, but I also have dedicated video, which is a big thing too, as opposed to something like in the M1 chip. It's shared, but that's not where the problem is so much. It's just that's the video bus, and it maxes at 144 hertz. That's all there is to it. And if you can't play games at 144 hertz, you've got a problem. Okay, because even 75 hertz is really good for gaming, you know, but twice that or more is always better, right? The higher the refresh rate, the better it is. But you also got to watch too, can your video card push that refresh rate? That's another thing. Mine, I don't know what it maxes out at yet, but it still has no problem at 165 hertz. So hey, maybe I'll try a 200 hertz or a 240 hertz display one day and see if my video card can push that kind of refresh rate through the screen. Okay, because that is dependent between screen and video card, right? As far as the whether it's a washed out color palette or not, that has a lot to do with, number one, your operating system. The Mac OS, that same screen, the colors are really good. They're not fantastic like they would be on a Retina gloss panel, but they're really freaking good and more than adequate for video editing, for photo editing, that sort of stuff. It works great. As far as the Windows environment goes though, Windows 10, it's got a washed out palette as it is. Windows 11, far superior for coloration, even enhances your video quality of your gameplay. But even on 2K display, I sniped that guy right in the friggin' ticker, you know, and he was buried behind a tree. And I still managed to get him just enough to get him right in the ticker, and he's dead. You know, that's a pretty hard shot to do on a 1080p display. But on 2K, pretty easy. 4K, even easier. 5K, wait, we can't quite do that with a real 5K display on a PC yet. We're getting close though. At least we're at 4K without any issues on PCs. And 4K is nice, but you need a lot of video horsepower to run a 4K display in gaming, not only for the display resolution, but also the refresh rate, so that you can also get FPS out of the game as well. So you do need a really raunchy video card to get that kind of performance levels going on a PC, where you need hardly squat at all to do the same thing on a Mac, which statistically has been proven time and time and time again. Macs don't need as much to do far superior and more than the PC. Even if the PC is faster, it doesn't matter. It's still not going to put out the same quality. But that's a diss for another day, of course. So where this guy's comment comes in is simply this. I shot that video with this. With studio lighting, yes, same studio lighting I have now. And you can only do so much. And if you overblind your lens, you're going to keep it thrown right out of focus, which is another problem with auto-adjusting your focus. With manual adjusting, I probably could have peaked it out a little bit tiny more. But would I have visually seen that in the screen? No, because see, what happens here is with this camcorder, it does have a glossy screen, which is nice because it gives you that nice picture. But if we're looking through here, and I'm looking at these guitars, and if I zoom out, I'm fine. If I zoom right in, it's still a perfect picture. So, and there's not a whole lot of light blistering at the lens, and yet I'm still getting a really fantastic picture here, and I can tell that really looks like a guitar, you know. So that's good. You know, it's not blurred, it's not fuzzed. You know, I can zoom even further if I want, and I can actually see the screw head right here, absolutely perfect. So is my autofocus an issue in that video? No, it's not an issue, and it didn't throw itself out of focus. Angle, did that make a difference? Not likely, because these displays, even though they're matte panels and they're ultra fine displays, they're also not subject to viewership angle. So you don't change with direction. They're not altering that direction. Like if I'm on the side view, I don't see a difference. If I tilt it, do I see a difference? No, I see no difference. So the screen is not subject to that. Where there are screens on the market, whether they're 2K, 4K, 1080p, whatever they happen to be, okay, they hide stuff. So you have to get a precise viewing angle. Same as laptops. Many, way too many to count laptops on the market, PCs, you have to really screw with the angle of that screen to get a really good viewable picture. And if you pull your eyes the wrong way away, it screws it up. And then you're like, what happened? Did it move? No, you did. That's the problem. So I don't know what kind of display this guy even has, if it's viewer angle reliant or not, to get a better picture. Maybe he might want to try adjusting his angle of his screen. Maybe that might help. But I mean, I've looked at the exact same footage on my screen, and I don't see that it's blurred or out of focus anywhere. I do see what he's talking about, a bit of washed out palette, but the majority of that palette washing is the simple fact that it's Windows 10 and it's on a PC game that is on the display that is not showing its best. Okay, but part of that too is the camera. Yes, the camera is partially at fault as well for the washed out color that he sees, because what I see on screen when I'm actually physically playing the game, where I just did, I see a much better quality picture than what shows up on YouTube on 1080p. But I'm not looking at 1080p. I'm the gamer here. I'm like, you know, my vision, and with these glasses I'm 20/20, so I got perfect vision with them, watching my screen myself. Camera optics are not eyeballs, okay? They should be better, but not always. But when it comes out to that washy color, I do see that it's still a little bit washy either way in the color palette. It's the game, and it's the display, and it's Windows. It's the way it is. You know, I've played that exact same game, and I have footage on it on my channel on a 5K iMac running Windows 10, which is on a 5K Retina glossed panel screen. I am seeing beauty at its best. Okay, at 5K for Windows, 5K for the game, and that game is so graphically enhanced, it's mental under Windows 10 running on the Mac. Okay, so let me think about this. Perhaps if I shot the video with the Mac, he wouldn't have said anything. But the thing is, there's a problem. I'm reviewing a screen. I'm not reviewing a Mac. I'm reviewing a screen here. And the screen can only do as much as it can do, considering it also has a flat, a matte panel finish, not gloss. If it was gloss, I bet you I probably wouldn't have heard a word, you know, other than maybe his screen would have been the problem, because he's probably got a matte finish screen, which is possible, okay? Because the majority of the screens on the market are all matte finish screens. They're not high gloss like you find on iMacs, like you find on the MacBooks. It's the only time we get into different screens on Macs, okay, is when we're running a Mac Mini, we're running an external screen on a laptop, or we're running a Mac Pro Tower. Okay, so anytime we're using an external screen on a Mac, that's when things can change. Now, depends on the screen we're running. If we're using Apple Cinema displays or XDR Pro displays, well, we're getting some really sick quality picture, which is really awesome. Okay, because the display makes a huge impact, right, on how things are visually, how they present themselves, brightnesses, contrast. I mean, I look at my MacBook Air, just in its desktop. I'm running the same OS on that as I am on my Mini, on my Mini. So my Air and my Mini run the same OS, and even have the same picture in the background, having the same, you know, as close as I can for brightness and sharpness and all that jazz. I mean, hey, the MacBook Air still looks 10 times better to me at the same resolution yet. Why? Because it's also a Retina display and it's a gloss panel, right? So when I view my video on my YouTube channel on my MacBook Air, believe it or not, it looks a lot better when we're talking about that same video, right? It looks a lot better on my Air than it does on my Mini with that 2K display that has a matte panel. Night and day difference, okay? So, yeah, anyways. So yes, optics make a difference. Megapixel definitely makes a difference. You know, this is a camcorder. I'm recording this on a DSLR. That's a difference too. Okay, so any comments you'd like to make, leave them down below. Let me know what you thought. We've done pretty much the same repeat of the same footage, as close as we can get the same angles, of course, because my PC is now over here, not over here anymore. I've separated the machines completely, and they each have their own dedicated display, and they're both the same display. Okay, Also, check the link below in the description of the video for the video that the guy had mentioned, right, that he was on, which inspired this video. And take a look at that footage and put it side by side against this footage when we did the game as well. And, you know, be your judgment on that, you know, because you know that the newest video today was done with my DSLR at 1080p setup versus this at its own regular 1080p, not its ultra 1080p, at 9.2 megapixel camcorder versus DSLR. Okay? Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it all too. And if you did like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and that bell. Give it a good whack too, and hit to get notifications for when I upload new content. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao!